Hey everybody, I'm Cory Levine, studio manager here at the Harold Feinstein Photography Trust.
And I'm Shannon Pelletier. I'm intern at the Harold Feinstein Photography Trust and photo student.
And we're here today again to look at another one of the prints from Graciously Yours, which is the solo Feinstein show hanging at Galerie Thierry Bigaignon all summer in Paris. And we're going through a social walkthrough, so to speak, of the show and sharing our thoughts on the prints that you can find there for those people who may not be able to make it or who just want a little more information. Today, we're looking at Breezy Curtains, which is an image taken around 1978, circa 1978 in Vermont. And this is it. It's a larger print, a little awkward. And so this is a 16 by 20 print of a limited edition. And as we look at this print, it's a very striking image. And for me, I think when we look at this, the subject of curtains is not the only time this comes up in Harold's body of work or elsewhere.
And Harold has a great way of capturing detail in the shadows and highlights of this image. So we can see here, especially in older houses, walls are not always totally and completely flat. So he's managed to capture detail in the walls and the darkness, even in the floor. And if you look really closely, you can see the floral pattern in the room behind the room that the photographer is currently in. And it's all just amazing detail, and it comes together so well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's something that, we've talked a lot about in Harold's photographs. And if you look at his body of work, one of the things that shines through, in my opinion, is Harold's ability to capture texture on the simple, seemingly blank or uninteresting parts of a space or moment. For instance, in this particular image, if you look at the walls, these plaster walls of this Vermont farmhouse, a wall is a wall. It's a blank, flat thing. But what Harold manages to do is really capture the texture of it, so it becomes a unified part of the image, and doesn't seem like blank space. It's used visually compelling space, much as the rest of the image, the subject, the main subject of the curtains, or otherwise.
There is something to look at if you look closely everywhere, whether it's the detail in the curtains or the wall or the floor or the crown molding on the door, and everything is there's really, when you look closely, there's so much to look at.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the molding, right? Because it's to me, I look at it and it creates this kind of sort of visual boundary in the image, which encloses the subject, and in fact, where the curtains sort of break that boundary, it's interacting with the subject. It's also, if we analyze it in two-dimensional space, it's this sort of cast askew geometric element that shoots through the page from right to left, and it's also perspectively, it's coming toward us. So in three-dimensional space, it sort of invites us in and creates this sort of jagged line through the image, which it's again, it's Harold's ability to make the unremarkable remarkable. It's walls and it's the molding of a door, but here it's this dramatic visual component to this this moment caught in time.
And the more I look at it, the more depth it seems to have, which is so important for a photographer and a photographer's work to be, to have depth and to be visually compelling like that. And the more I look at it, the more in the room I feel. It's very strange, but that's so important, and he has it.
There's something really interesting, I think, with the lighting in this image. Have you ever used vignette lighting in your work, Shannon?
Have not played around with that, but
Yeah, and it's something that I think is very common and so easy to execute now with digital tools, Photoshop and Lightroom and so forth. But Harold was able to kind of identify this sort of vignette that was happening live and was able to capture it on the negative as well as bring it out in the dark room which is a very different animal altogether. And I think the lighting coming in from this window creates this sort of soft vignette that encloses this image in a really gentle and beautiful way.
And we don't know if he did that in the darkroom or not, right? We don't know. This could be all totally natural lighting, which is an amazing quality of light. It's very elegant.
Yeah, and I think it's shows us the typical or the ordinary in an extraordinary sort of way, which is the mark of a true master photographer, I would say. This particular image we have an alternate version of, as well as the contact sheet from this roll of film, and we'll include that in the video and give folks a chance to see some of the other interpretations of this moment.
And since this isn't the first time that Harold has photographed windows, we also have a blog that's been written about his window photography. Harold wrote it himself about this window photography, and it's really a popular subject matter and worth taking a look at. So
absolutely. And please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube videos. Share this around with your friends and jump in on the comments. We'd really be glad to hear what you think about this image, and if you want to share it with us. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.